not.
Well,
Never
Probably could.
yeah, believe me, I could.
Never say never.
All right, Pro Football Focus, who we're going to have one of those guys on every week, right? I think so.
Pro Football Focus Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Automatic focus.
Right. They came out with some of their grades on some of the higher-rated skins, and shocker, Chase Young.
A+++.
You had the highest grade of all rookies, Cakes. Now, I don't know what these numbers mean, but it sounds like a pretty good grade. 86.5.
Oh, I'd have been sliced for a teacher to hand me a piece of paper with 86.5 on it back in high school.
Is this all rookies in the NFL or just for the skins?
All rookies in the NFL.
Oh, wow.
Okay, now I don't know if it's just defense or offense, but he had an 86.5, highest graded rookie apparently week one.
I would round it up
just
to an
for that
A.
grade,
I'm very
Cakes.
liberal. I'd round it up to an A.
By the way, Cakes, did you have a geometry tutor back in the day? What was your tutor for?
Geometry.
Yeah,
And
my
struggled to get C's and D's.
My son's in 8th grade, and he's struggling in geometry, and I asked him yesterday, I was like, well, what do you need help with? And he said, perpendicular bisectors.
Yeah, good luck with that.
What was
I
that?
said, go to the Google.
I mean, do you really need to know what sine, cosine, and angles are? You don't. Do you need that information when you're 50?
I'm sure that's geometry.
I'm
That's
sure
trig.
his
It's not?
sister
It's
could
trig.
help him, JP.
Well, he's in 8th grade. His sister's in New York.
Well, you could call Megan tutors, and a lady down the street offered her $75 an hour.
Really?
What?
Yes.
$75 an hour is healthy.
You better take that.
Yeah, I think she said she would do it for less because she felt bad because she knew him. But yeah,
Did she come tutor my daughter?
There's good money in tutoring.
Apparently so.
Yeah. But anyway, just to put the 86.5 in context, the best rookie debuts by an end in Pro Football Focus's era, so that goes back to 2006, Jannard Avery had a 90.3.
I saw that name on the list. I was like, who is that dude?
Yeah. Chandler Jones, though, 89.9.
Yeah.
You know Joey Bosa,
Know him.
89.5. You know a guy by the name of Von Miller, 88.4.
Yeah.
And right below that, Chase Young.
That's
Good
some
company.
Pretty
good
good
to be
company.
in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I
Now I
thought
need
that
to
was
Google Jannard Avery. Or I'll go to MSN.com and see who Jannard Avery is.
The other,
I remember a running back named Avery.
Yeah, but
the
his
Dolphins.
first
I
name
remember a
wasn't
point
Jannard.
guard
William
point guard
Avery,
from Duke.
Yeah. And Fabian Moreau also apparently had a great grade on Sunday. He was first among all corners. He had an 87.3 coverage grade. He was only targeted 3 times, had 1 interception. So big debut in week 1 for Fabian Moreau, who, in fairness, we had kind of beat up on, in previous times.
Yeah.
But when he had gotten an opportunity to play outside, he seemed to play much better than when he did as a nickel corner. So
Yeah, he played much better.
Yeah.
Now, he may not be ultimately the starter. He was there because of injury.
yeah, well, sometimes.
It can move up the
let's
charts.
see. Yeah, exactly. All right, so do you have that audio? I want to real quickly just play that audio of Marcus Spears, who was on First Take, I think it was, one of those shows, and he was talking up the Washington football team, and he was warning other teams that if they're not prepared, watch out. Do you have it, Valdez?
Anybody else out there in the NFL that's going to play the Washington Redskins, one, they are as motivated by what their coach is doing right now, and 2, be careful if you fall behind because you may not have your quarterback the following week.
Pretty strong case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought there was one instance where they hit Wentz where he really looked like he was wincing, and I don't
Carson
know if that
Wentz. That's a
Carson
good
Wentz.
bit. That's a good bit.
Yeah.
Let's run with that. Carson Wentz.
Valdez,
Yeah, and he looked like his left arm wasn't moving. Did you ever
there was
notice that?
something weird. Yeah.
So he might have taken a little ding to the head, maybe.
Yeah.
His wife, by the way, played for the Mystics in the WNBA, Marcus Spears.
Correct.
By
That's
the
why
way,
I
props
told
to the Mystic for winning the last 4 in the regular season to make the playoffs. Just want to throw that out there.
Right.
Very good.
That's why I told you, JP, that I know someone that coaches the daughter in volleyball. The daughter's 6'2" at 13 already.
Well,
Ridiculous.
Look at the parents. I mean,
Right,
one
exactly.
was a pro football player, the other's a pro
WNBA.
hoopster.
Right.
She better be 6'2".
Valdez, do you have audio of Coach Rivera?
Yeah, I have 3 clips of him talking about Haskins and his performance and confidence from Week 1 against Philly. So if you want to go through those?
100%. Yeah, I want to hear this.
For the most part, what that really is just him going through his reads, getting an understanding of what we wanted to do, how we wanted to do it. He did some really good things, made some really good decisions. A couple things you'd like to see him do, though, is put a little bit more touch on the ball at times. He tried to gun a couple of them in, and because of it, the ball ended up a little bit behind. Instead of really putting that lead throw into it, in other words, he tried to lead the receiver a little bit better. He tried to hit the receiver on the spot. So, I think he was a little bit anxious. He looked like he was having fun, but he looked a little bit anxious at times. And once he settled in, though, and we saw that, he really took command of what we were doing. This is a second-year quarterback who's done a great job, who's learning, who's made good decisions yesterday. He really did. And that's one of the things that was really pleasing was even though he may have missed a couple throws, those throws were headed where they were supposed to the right receivers.
That's encouraging.
And then
I think that's as encouraging as anything, by the way, because it's tough as a fan to know the reads that quarterbacks are supposed to make. And it's good to hear when the coach says he's at least going through the progressions and making the right read and making the throw to where we want him to make the throw.
Now, Eric, let me ask you this. As a Washington fan, are you we talked about this basically the entire offseason since last year.
Yeah.
But are you glad that the team had the second pick and not the first pick? Because with the first pick, they probably would have had to have taken Burrow unless they traded out. But with the second pick, obviously Burrow was gone, so you were able to take him.
Yeah, I don't know what they would have done there. It's a great.
Well, I'm just talking to you as a fan.
Yeah. I guess at this point, remember, I was also very much, and I still am. I'm not a tanker.
I mean, I think Burrow's going to be good. Don't get me wrong.
No,
but after 1 week, what you saw from Young versus Burrow and then Haskins wasn't great in the first half. In fact, he was bad, but second half he was much better.
Yeah, here's the thing. I want to see a lot more from Dwayne, but I do. There is a games. There's sort of a gritty when the bright lights are on kind of feature to him that I like. I feel like when the game's on the line, he kind of rises to the occasion a little bit. But I think he's got a lot of improvement to go. But there's something about him that I don't know. He's got some balls to him. He's got a toughness to him that I like. I also, and obviously, who doesn't love Chase? And I'm so thrilled that they got him. It kind of vindicates people that are big into like tanking and losing every game, though, and I'm totally against that. The only time where I'm willing to maybe wave the white flag is maybe in about like week 15 or 16. Like at the very end. But people that like I've already got people after the first quarter. They were tweeting me that we should tank for Trevor.
Right.
In the first quarter, they were doing that. And
Trolls.
Remember
those people are the worst people in the country.
Remember the talk all off season was Jacksonville's tanking because they traded their star players. They were, they cut Fournette. Right. Oh, they were tanking. They go out and beat the Colts.
Hey, our guys aren't tanking, man. I'm at the helm of this offense. I got Minshew.
It's hard to tank in week 1.
Here,
you can't just tank in week 1.
Well, I know, but guys, week 1 is crazy. But I literally had people saying, that's fine. This is just a tank year. We're tanking for Trevor in the first quarter. But people will start to do that, in the 4th week, the 5th week, the 6th week. And I'm so against it.
Yeah, but Eric, you were
by like week 10. Like if you're 2-8, let's start tanking.
No, I'll say week 15, 16 because I still like to win games.
By then, it's too late. You've already missed out on the tank.
I understand, but there's something to be said for a culture of winning, going in the right direction. I think it's hard. It's a lot harder to turn around a 3-13 team than it is say a 6-10, in my opinion. Valdez?
Oh, I was just saying you were going crazy too when they were shut out in the first half.
Not too bad.
Not to the point of tanking, but you weren't going crazy after the offense looked like poop.
Check my timeline. I was very positive. Check my timeline. I really wasn't because I was so excited just to have football back. And one thing that I knew is they weren't that bad. I mean, it was so bad. And I did not think that the defense would play that well.
Because we can't all have the luxury of having Lamar and company just steamroll the terrible Cleveland Browns and just have a laugher every week. We just don't have that luxury.
Yeah, that was the Ravens preseason game.
Okay, not everybody has that luxury.
I would still be extremely concerned about the offense. I know they ended up putting up 27 points. It just benefited from short fields. Bad plays from Carson Wentz. And look, maybe the defense is going to do this on a regular basis, but I was not impressed by the offense at all. I was not impressed by Haskins. Yeah. He didn't throw any interceptions, but if I had to grade Dwayne Haskins in week 1,
C-.
Yeah, it'd be about a C-.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's totally fair.
Eric, I have one more clip.
See more.
About Haskins' confidence, if you want to hear that.
Yeah, sure.
I think it's what he's been working towards. I mean, I know last year he was a little bit more emotional when you watch some of the tape from it, watch some of the heard some of the stories about some of the stuff that he was thinking about and concerned with. Again, it was one of the things that I challenged him in January about, and that was focusing on what he was doing and just it seems to be a confidence more than a cool or a calmness. It's more just confidence because he knows. I mean. I talked about it the other day that one of the things that I wanted to make sure when we came here was that we had a specific plan for the development of Dwayne and Kenny and Scott have done a terrific job making sure that those things were instilled, those things were done, and because of that, I think it's kind of helped to build the confidence in which we're seeing him play with.
See, I've already just come to grips with the fact that, in my mind anyway, until proven otherwise, he's just kind of like a streaky thrower. That's just who he is. And, he's never going to be one of these guys that completes 70% of his passes. He's not going to be week in and week out 24 of 28. That's not who he is. He's going to be more Cam Newton-ish, and he's not the kind of runner that Cam is. Don't get me wrong. But he's just going to be more streaky. He's going to be closer to, the mid-50 percentage probably at times. And you're going to kind of have to hold your nose. But there is a gamesmanship to him. There is a balls to him that I like, and just hope you have more hot streaks than cold streaks,
and hopefully he improves that accuracy, game after game.
Right.
Hopefully he's not hovering in the 50s or 53%.
Well, I was going to ask you,
you want him to be better. No, you want him to be better, but I just don't think he's ever going to be a guy that's going to, at the end of the year is going to be 69% completion percentage.
Well, if he's not, then
he's just not that guy.
Then you're not going to be successful in the playoffs. So if you knew for the next 8 to 10 years he was going to be what you just described,
I think he's going to be streaky.
You probably wouldn't want him. You wouldn't want a streaky quarterback. That's not what you want.
That might be true, but that's what I see.
That's probably a fair assessment right now.
Again,
but like Cake says, he's got to get better.
Development. We're very early in development still.
Yeah. I think that I think the ceiling is maybe a little lower than he's just not going to be like I say, he's not going to be a 24 of 28 guy. He's going to be a guy that's going to be like 20 of 37 or 20 of 32. He's just not going to be. He's going to take some shots downfield. He's going to make some bigger throws, and he's just never going to be a super high percentage guy.
It's going to be interesting to see how he plays over the first month.
Right.
Because if the defense doesn't play on a consistent level like they did Sunday. If they have lapses and they're allowing a bunch chunks of yardage and what can Haskins provide? Can he provide an offense with, mid-20s on a consistent basis? That's the question. And I agree with JP. I don't think he can. The short fields really hooked them this week.
Totally. But they'll get better. I mean, you don't evaluate a team after 1 week, right? Especially on a mediocre performance. So they'll get better.
And you want to see the running game click a little bit better too. I mean, you're not going to survive for long if Peyton Barber is your lead back, getting less than 2 yards per carry. Mm-hmm. I know he found the end zone. He had some advantageous, field position. But the running game's got to start.
I think the number, I don't have it in front of me though. I think they rushed the ball 36 times.
Well, they rushed a good amount. They just didn't rush for a lot of yardage.
So there was a nice balance there. And again, it's going to be a committee thing. Sometimes some games Peyton will probably have some decent numbers. Some games he might be carry it 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just going to be week to week.
Cakes, would you play Peyton Barber in a fantasy as like your third RB, like a flex maybe?
I wouldn't be crazy about it.
Yeah, because he's going to get
he's your touchdown
vulture. I wouldn't feel great about it.
I wouldn't either because he's not going to put up a ton of yards, but he's going to get opportunities inside the 5.
If you're desperate, yes. If there are better options, I would explore other options.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, obviously, if you had better options.
Right.
All right, real quick, Jason Wright sent out a tweet over the weekend, and I don't make much of it, but J.P. Finley wrote something about it where, he alludes to the Arkansas State football game, I guess, was on the screen, and I don't know what channel he was watching, but obviously Arkansas State, their nickname is the Red Wolves.
Right.
And then he makes some allusion to PFT commentator who's